watching Soleful discussions.
All right, so hi, how are you doing today?
Good.
All right. How did we just meet right now?
Well, I thought I heard someone walking behind me, so I was like kind of doing the peripheral vision a little bit.
Which is good.
And then you walked up, introduced yourself, and asked me if I'd be open to filming or having a soulful conversation. And I said
soulful
yes.
discussions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so what did I approach about? What are the 3 topics we're going to cover today?
One was reflexology.
Yep.
The other, something all about soulful conversations. Again, you caught me off guard, so you can only expect so much from me.
It's all good. So your thoughts about feet, mental health, reflexology.
Thoughts about what?
Feet. Mental health, reflexology.
You're really catching me for a loop today, but I like it.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, so when you hear feet, right?
Yes.
What do you think about? First thing comes to mind.
I think about looking down at my feet.
Okay, looking down at your feet. Okay, cool. Well, we're gonna ask some questions today. It'll be about your thoughts about feet, and you can just feel free to answer however you like. Just whatever comes to mind. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of mental health, when you hear that, what do you think about immediately?
In terms of mental health in general, or in
general.
regards to? Oh.
You could say both too, because I know what you're gonna say. Like in terms of how it relates to feet.
Yeah.
You can say both. So how do you feel about it in general, and then what are your thoughts about how it may relate to feet?
I mean, just from a general standpoint, I think the first thing that comes to mind when I think of mental health is just its importance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually really excited about the fact that it is talked about and shared about more nowadays. I think there needs to be a balance between how we do discuss it and the amount of time and effort we put towards it without also letting it take over us. Absolutely. Or maybe using it as a crutch as well too. But overall, I think mental health and focusing on it and prioritizing yourself is amazing.
Absolutely.
Big fan of mental health.
Love it. So how do you think it may relate to feet in terms of when you hear those two connected together? What do you think?
That's a little harder. I think for whatever reason, this is clicking with me right now. But I think, for example, today when I met you, I just decided I need to get up, go on a walk, move around, and obviously your feet are the way
that promotes that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a huge portion of just kind of taking that first step as well too.
I love that. That's dope,
that came out of nowhere.
Very
I was like, wow.
Very well said. I love that.
Thank you very much.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about social media, the impacts it can have on depression and anxiety. So I'd love to get your thoughts when we get there, okay?
Yeah.
Reflexology, the last one you heard. What do you think about that? Do you know about it already?
I've heard about it, but I'm not going to pretend like I am any type of expert on it whatsoever. If you asked me to define it, I probably couldn't. So I'm really not too familiar with it.
Got it. We're going to use some information today. And then you're just going to tell me, in terms of what you heard, was it good, was it bad, do you agree with it? Okay, sound good? First question, here we go. What are your thoughts about how the world's starting to become more aware of mental health and what we're doing about it? How do you feel about that?
What are my thoughts on how it happened?
Yeah, how we're starting to become more aware and what we're doing about it. How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's important. I mean, I feel like overall it's a good thing. I don't necessarily know, I guess, how else to answer that besides that.
That's perfect. Yeah, you don't have to have too much to say, whatever comes to mind.
Yeah.
In terms of social media, right? First of all, what are your thoughts about it? And then how do you use social media yourself?
So, I love social media. I think it's an amazing way for me to continue connections with people that otherwise I probably wouldn't have been able to.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm also very thankful that I didn't grow up with it either.
Okay.
So
that was something I didn't have to worry about. Yeah.
And so, to put it in perspective, my parents, they did not let me get a Facebook until I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were very adamant, which
Kudos
I'm very thankful
them,
for.
Yeah, them.
Looking back now. And it was kind of, I remember when Instagram and Snapchat and, I'm not even that old, but it came out when I think, or at least it started getting really popular when I was in high school. And I specifically remember this because I was was like, no, I'm not gonna follow the crowd. I don't need, you know, like I was like, I don't need
going
this
the opposite
app
way,
or
huh?
anything. And then of course now I have them. So you know, I came around.
It's like eventually I had to go ahead and post.
Exactly. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So once again, it's like my experience with it, I feel really, really thankful, but I can definitely see how at the same time it can, you know, as with everything, it's always just, there's good and there's bad.
Absolutely. And I think that like sometimes like overexposure to it, like if you have too much of something, right? And that's with anything. You eat too much of this, it's bad for you. If you don't eat enough of this, like it's, you know, it's that with anything in life.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, I even find myself sometimes too, feeling like I am just, you know, that addictive feeling with it as well, which I absolutely hate. And it's gone to the extent sometimes too where I've just felt the need to like delete it for at least a month to just be like, I need to make sure I can still process as a human being.
I'm hearing that from a lot of people lately, like just taking that break away from it, stepping away, and just being like, let me just enjoy life. Right?
Absolutely. Well, also just I think for me, it's just kind of testing myself too, testing myself to really be like,
can you go without it?
Can I go without it? And I think you find out a lot about yourself when you try that as well too. So, yeah.
Absolutely. In terms of social media, right? Let's say somebody came to you and they said, "Hey, change whatever you like about it." They gave you the power. Is there anything you would change, or do you think it's fine the way it is?
About social media?
Yeah. It's a tough one.
That is a tough one. You know, I'll wait for this one. Gosh, you know, I don't know, because I think the main reason why I'm struggling with that question too is because it's also just a matter of making sure. It's like if you put one limit, what's the next thing that people are going to ask for, and then the next thing, and the next thing. So I think it's very, very tricky to try and create regulations on something that is meant to be public. If it's meant to.
And that's what I find. So I heard one lady so far since I did this, that's what she said. She said, I feel like maybe if I change one thing, right, how do I know it doesn't impact this other thing over here, like in a negative way? So she's like, and I think what she came to the conclusion of for herself, she was like, I feel like it's more the people who are using it that need to like learn, like, okay, like, hey, like if I put this out here, this is how it impacts others, this is how it affects others, right? So absolutely.
Yeah. If anything too, again, I'm not too familiar with this, but I think just speaking as a woman too, you know, there's definitely been times where there are certain, and I think they've gotten a lot better at this, but I remember, especially when I was younger, you know, having the capacity and having the social media platform, like if a picture is out there, to be able to make sure once it's deleted too. You know, and again, I'm not too familiar with how that works, but just knowing firsthand, you know, my close friends, loved ones as well too, I think it's really important to just make sure. Again, I feel really lucky because my parents always told me, like, anything you put on the internet, it's out there.
It's out there. Once you do it, it's out there.
Including this video.
Including this video.
But,
including this video.
I think many people don't realize that, and I wish there was a way to just make sure people had the opportunity to make mistakes on their journey with social media without being negatively impacted for their entire life.
And I think, you know, that's what life is, right? Like we do things, and I always tell people, for me, I don't look at it as like, you know, something I did wrong or that it was bad. It's just that sometimes when you do things, you learn from it, and it's like, oh, okay, this is what's going to happen if I do this. So now you learn to like, okay, let me do something else as opposed to that. It's like learning how to like operate in life.
Absolutely.
In terms of anxiety, right? Is there anything in life that brings you anxiety? And you don't have to go too in depth, maybe more surface level.
Yeah.
Is there anything that does that for you? And then when you do feel it happening, is there anything you do to counteract those emotions you may feel?
Oh man, there's so many things.
How much time do you have?
I mean, I work in, so I'm in the finance industry, and I have a client base where I help people with personal financial planning for themselves. lifestyles. And my job is constantly to get out of my comfort zone and to meet new people and to get told no a lot of the times. Ooh. And that's something that it's almost like a muscle that you need to develop, getting used to being uncomfortable. And I think it's ultimately all the things that create anxiety for me. It all stems from uncertainty and feeling a lack of control of the situation, because there are so many unknowns
that you have no idea about.
And how I manage it, I mean, again, I go on walks.
Yeah.
I love to go just, whatever it is. I think it's a huge, important factor in my routine to have a morning routine. I follow a schedule. I follow a calendar. I'm very, very detail-oriented. Yeah. Yes, detail-oriented, organized. I live off of my calendar. And I think just knowing what I can control and actually seeing it is a huge factor of what allows me to feel present, not let that anxiety affect me. And then I think there's other times too where it's completely okay to let anxiety affect you. Yeah. I think I'm a big fan of just making sure people realize, if that's how you're feeling, then just
it's okay not being okay.
Exactly.
Absolutely. You don't have to be okay all the time.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so in those situations where I'm just like, screw it, I'm just gonna feel like this right now, I'll always watch movies. I'm a big I will be Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon, all of it. That's my ultimate calming
That's
factor.
your way to unwind and
just
disconnect.
Decompress. Absolutely. Yeah.
Love
so those are for the times where I'm like, I don't really feel like just doing anything right now. But for the times where I'm like, no, this is something that I can move past,
you gotta
take control of. Exactly. It's all about just your schedules and your routines and just making sure you know what you can control.
I like that. All right. So let's get into these questions now. I'll be intrigued to see what your thoughts are, okay? What are your thoughts about your feet? How do you feel about them?
I don't like my feet too much.
You don't like your feet?
I am flat-footed.
Oh.
And it gives me the worst pain sometimes.
You wear orthotics?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I should, but I hate cardio. I don't like running for that reason, just because I feel like, I just get so frustrated with it.
Interesting. So you don't like your feet because they're flat-footed? Anything else that you don't like about them?
My feet, personally, I'm just I'm not a big feet person.
Okay.
I don't know. But again, I appreciate them.
Yeah, because you can still walk. It might not.
They work just fine. They work as they should. I respect them. So
there it is.
Not much more to it than that.
Have you ever received any compliments about your feet before? Anybody ever said, "Hey, you have nice feet"?
Actually, that's really funny. The first person that comes to my head is literally my mom.
Okay.
My mom is she said the second I was born, she would just love wiggling my toes, touching my, and so she still does it to this day.
Interesting.
So my mom is probably my absolute biggest fan of
That's great. That's great. I mean, I think it's always good to have somebody who loves whatever it is they love about us.
Yeah.
Right? I think we can't pick and choose what other people
I'm very, 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 very lucky for my family.
Okay.
They're the most amazing people in my life.
Okay. So your mom's the only person that's giving you a compliment about that, or is that the one you think about first?
That's just the one I think about first.
So let me ask you this. Let's say it's a rare occasion, you're wearing sandals. Somebody says, "Hey, you have nice feet."
Mm-hmm.
How does that make you feel in that moment?
I mean, one, probably just appreciative, because I think personally it takes a lot to go up to someone and just compliment them. So as long as you're not weird about it, I'm cool with it.
I hear that, that's what I hear from women without this. They're like, "Hey, as long as the energy's not creepy and they just come across as hey, I just wanted to tell you that this looks nice."
Who doesn't like compliments?
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, you'll be surprised.
Fair enough. Yeah,
you'll be surprised.
I will say this again, I don't think it's necessarily people don't like compliments. I think it's a matter of people don't always know how to
act during that.
Yes.
Okay.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
What I've seen is for anyone that's always been, and again, this is the second part I was going to get to answer that question, because also at the same time too, I'm like, why is someone staring at my feet?
Okay.
You know?
So that does go through your mind.
It does absolutely go through my mind. And I think it's all just a sense of like, whoa, like whether you want to call it insecurity or just like shock or whatever. And I think, again, some people don't always know how to react to those emotions, myself included. So I think that's also something that's just going to naturally go through my mind for sure as well.
Got it. Let me ask you this. In terms of compliments you get, like, right, on a regular day-to-day basis, is there a certain compliment that you look at and you're like, when you get that, you're like, okay, that makes me feel great. That's like tops on my list.
Ooh.
I would imagine, like, so if I was going to step from the outside and just think about what I think you might like, I think it would have something to do with the work you do, because you just talked about earlier, like, you get a lot of no's sometimes. And so I'm guessing that when you do work for somebody and it comes across as like, somebody's like, hey, I'm really appreciative, I love what you did, that probably makes you feel really good because it makes you feel fulfilled in your duties, right?
It can legitimately make my whole, like, every single no is always worth it for that one yes. So yeah, absolutely. Just feeling, and I'm trying to think of a word for that too, or just like in a general way of saying that, because I think the best compliments are the ones that speak to your true character.
Yes.
And what you just suggested and gave an example of is something that really makes me just feel good, not because of the fact that it's like I need them to compliment me, but it makes me feel convicted and, you know, makes me feel like I have integrity and confidence behind what I'm doing.
Like, you're fulfilling your duty. Like, you're working hard. You're hoping that you're coming across as like this pure natural person that's helping other people. Yeah. So when other people see it, it's like, okay, damn, I am doing that. So that's really great. That's really great.
Absolutely.
In terms of if you were dating somebody or you're going to start dating somebody, right? What is something you would consider to be a potential deal breaker and a potential partner? Is this another one of those, how long do you have? I got a list. Like, give me some time.
Like, how popular are you on YouTube? Because I'm like, I don't know how much I should say right now.
No. I mean, this is your opinion. Just feel free to say whatever you like.
It's a little ironic because I actually, the reason I'm laughing, I'll tell you this at least. I legitimately just got out of a 4-year relationship 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I can speak to this of what could be the red flag.
Oh, okay. I've been running into this a lot lately too, where I'm like, I just got a relationship and here we go.
I mean, I think it's just a matter of what I know when I am ready, you know, again, to look for that next person. It's going to be someone that ultimately just shows up, you know, that not only just, you know, talks the talk but walks the walk. I think a huge red flag is when you say things but you don't follow up with action. And I'm not going to expect anything less than that moving forward from here.
As you shouldn't. And I think that, to me, and like I've heard that answer quite a few times, where it's like, I need, like, if I'm with somebody, I need that person to show up, be available, like, want to be a part of, like, the things you're doing, because I'm going to do the same thing for them, right? Yeah. So I definitely think that's dope. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So how often do you get pedicures?
Well, I just got a manicure yesterday. I wouldn't say I get pedicures too often, though. Okay. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm a big sneaker gal, so that's why I, again, don't
sneakerhead.
wear them too much. Yeah.
Got it. Have you ever heard of a medical pedicure before?
No. What's that?
Okay, so that's when you go see a, that's why I was telling you about the orthotics.
Are we about to go full circle right now?
Well, maybe. But so it's when you go see a podiatrist, a specialist of the foot. They take a look at your feet. They'll look at your nails to, like, make sure everything is, like, growing correctly. They tell you, like, the correct way to, like, cut your nails. They check your toe alignment to make sure it's right. They check your feet for, like, dead skin, fungus. They can help you with things like where you're flat-footed and you have pain from, like, the things you're talking about. Yeah. They can create orthotics for you that will, like, fit your foot. Right, I just talked to a lady who just literally went and got that done. She said she went and they created a mold for her based on her feet, and you're supposed to wear it over time. So you start off wearing it an hour a day, then you increase it to 2 hours, and then so on and so forth till your feet become, like, attuned to that. So what would your thoughts be on seeing somebody like that? Because it looks like you probably need to go.
That sounds amazing.
Absolutely. So that might be because it's just like a dentist, right? Where you go and you get insight into like how to take care of your teeth, right?
Yeah.
Well, these people are like specialists of the foot. They tell you like, hey, this is what you need to do to like make sure that this doesn't happen, right? And sometimes because our feet are our foundation, we can experience a lot of problems through our body because of that, because we don't like take care of them the way that we should.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. No, and just based off of what you said too, there are certain times where you just, I don't know, like don't even realize how much, like, because your feet are carrying you, right? And I know there are certain times where I just kind of sit down and I'll start, massaging my feet, and I'm like, holy crap, like
you didn't realize how much,
exactly. So
and you'll feel relief in other parts of your body because you're doing that.
Absolutely. All the way up, the entire spine, everything, like.
Absolutely.
Something that I definitely should do more.
There it is. So how often do you wear like open toe shoes? Because you said you're a sneaker gal, but how often do you do it?
I would say, so I do work with clients, and I dress like at least business casual, fairly professionally, like at least whenever I go into the office, which is probably like 2-3 times a week.
Okay.
But then again, immediately when I get home, the heels come off.
There it is. Throw them babies off. There it is. Let them rest. How often do you go barefoot, no shoes?
Very rarely.
Very
rarely. Well, around the house.
Okay.
Pretty much always around the house. Obviously on the beach.
Yep.
But other than that, not too often.
What about at the park? Like if you're at a park, you got your blanket out.
Maybe.
Okay.
Reason why, it's just like I do get really freaked out of like stepping on rocks or something like that.
Absolutely.
So it's like it's an unnecessary fear, but one that I'm just like, I don't want to take
really
any
chances. I don't really want to deal with this right now. I don't know if I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. All right. So now, can we see what your feet look like?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
They're not pedicure ready at all.
All right. So we're not here to judge or anything like that. That's not what we're here for. It's just more to see, can you be comfortable? Like as we're going through the interview, this is another step to see, can you be comfortable in this moment?
Oh my gosh, you're really gonna put me on the spot right now, huh?
All right, how about this? I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the mental health, and then we'll swing back around and see how you feel. Okay. I'm gonna tell you what got me started in this. Okay. Have you ever heard of exposure therapy before?
No.
Okay. So exposure therapy is for people who tend to like overthink situations, right? So if you're somebody who's like a chronic overthinker, something that therapists find useful for these type of people are like, go out and put yourself in that situation that makes you feel uncomfortable, right? So like, if you have a fear of approaching strangers where you're like, I don't really like going up to people and talking to them, go out and do that over and over again, right? The whole mindset is that the more that you do that, you're going to feel uncomfortable, of course.
Yeah.
But what you'll learn to do is you'll learn to cope with the emotion. You'll learn that it's going to be there, but hey, all I got to do is just move past it, right? So when I heard that, I was like, in my life, I've always overthought situations, like, and like, it could be on anything, dude. It could just be on something as simple as, should I go to the store? And I'm thinking about, well, if I go there, then I'm going to miss this, and then this kind of, and it's like, in reality, those things are just things my mind's creating to prevent me from doing something, right? Yeah. So when I heard about that, I was like, okay, let me take that, let me tie that together with the subject of feet, right? So this is how things are coming full circle. I told you how today. So attach that with the subject feet. A lot of people feel uncomfortable about that topic. A lot of people think it's weird. A lot of people like have negative connotations about it. So the whole point of my channel is to bring it about to make a more positive like conversation around it, and normalize it in a way, right? So that people become more comfortable having a discussion where it's like somebody came up to you and said, hey man, you know what? Really like how your feet looking. You're not asking the question like, well, why are you looking at my feet? Like, why? It would be something like you could just take it and just be like, oh, okay, cool. Just like if somebody came up to you and said, hey, you have nice hair, or your eyes are nice, or they like your smile. You would take that and be like, oh, okay, well, thank you. You right? Yeah. It should be the same thing about that. So my channel is all about trying to normalize those conversations. So when I get to this point, and we're going through the interview, we're asking all these questions, right? I'm pretty sure you were getting more comfortable, right? And then I ask you that. It's, can you continue to be that? Or are you going to start to like think about like what's going to happen, or are you just going to go through with it? So in this moment, can we get you to, or what's the thought process?
Gosh, I'm going to do it. I'm like, when you say it like that, like, fuck, I've just been saying this whole time about like how I love putting myself
I go with the flow.
And I'm like, fuck, you're really taking advantage of that right now.
No, I'm not trying to. I just want to see if we can. All right. But so you got the Nikes on for right now?
I do.
Okay. Cool. All right. Can we get you to take the Nikes off? All right.
Do I have to do both, or can I just do one?
Can you do both? We like to see a comparison to see if one foot's bigger than the other, like what the difference is.
That is so weird.
Yeah, okay. So now it's weird. Okay.
See, that is like, oh, so you're gonna like zoom in.
No, I don't do any zooms.
Okay,
I'm
I
just
was
right
like,
here.
what are we talking
Absolutely.
about?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is.
All right, and you can leave your socks off for now. Just put your. I'm gonna get you to put both feet up here. Okay.
I'm gonna tell my friends about this later.
Absolutely, please. I'm gonna
and
give you the
they're
YouTube
gonna be
channel.
like-
All right. So it looks like tell me if I'm wrong. Okay.
Mhm.
First of all, your feet are more on the slender side,
They are.
right? I would say your second toe is bigger than the first toe.
It is just about, yeah.
Okay. So you know what that's called? Have you ever heard of it?
I have,
Okay.
but I don't know what it's called.
So there's one that's called the Egyptian toe alignment, and there's one that's called the Grecian. What you have is the Grecian, which is the second toe being above the big toe, right? And if you go through Greece, like you'll see some of the statues that are made there. That's the way the statues are made, because like Greek lineage, people who have that have the toes like that. Absolutely. Cool.
Very cool.
Let me get you to extend your feet out. Put them straight like this. All right.
Ugh.
All right. All right, cool. So now you can take your socks off. All right. Let's see here. She's like, oh, this is too funny.
This is getting real right now.
This is too funny. All right.
This is
All right, so you got the like, nice purple polish on there, and they don't look bad. You said they're not pedicure.
They're not the best.
Put them
right
down
now.
flat here. All right. They're fine.
Oh my gosh.
Don't worry about that. That's absolutely fine. So when was the last time did you get this pedicure, or did you do it yourself?
This is just like quick painting.
It's just like quick painting. It's
Yeah.
really good. It doesn't look bad. I mean, it looks like you probably did it maybe like I would say about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's coming off or whatever like that, but that's natural. That's what's supposed to happen. Okay. Let me get you to extend your feet back out. Do like this again. Okay. All right, cool. So how are you feeling going through it now? So you got past it. At first you were kind of like, I don't know.
You know,
You're doing it now. How are you feeling?
I'm not gonna lie, the breeze feels pretty nice, so that's good.
Small
Like, I'm
things
like,
in life,
huh.
right? I think sometimes we overthink things and we think about like all these bigger things, but it's like the smaller things, something as simple as like, hey, I'm sitting here with my feet out and like the breeze is coming through. I'm by the beach, just relaxing, right? Absolutely. So let's talk about reflexology, okay, and then we'll wrap it up, okay?
Do I have to keep sitting like this?
Yes, because we're gonna go through a couple more exercises, okay?
Okay.
Cool. So first of all, reflexology deals with the different pressure points,
Okay.
right? That are in your hands and in your feet, right? These pressure points actually connect to different parts of your body. So, for example, let's say through massage, through acupuncture, through acupressure, you can actually alleviate stress and tension to various parts of your body, right?
Okay.
So let's say you're somebody who deals with migraines, right? There's actually a portion of your hands and your feet you can massage that will alleviate the tension you feel in those moments, right?
Yeah.
There's also a piercing you can get in your ear. So that's something that's becoming new for people who like deal with that and they have it like where it happens like in an intense manner. They go get that piercing and it kind of like alleviates it. What are your thoughts about reflexology, what it does from a holistic standpoint, where like it can help like maybe cure ailments in your body that may like be bothering you?
I mean, I've always wanted to try it.
Yeah.
So I'm completely open to it.
Yeah.
Again, like I said in the beginning, I don't think I know enough to say no ever.
Yeah.
I'm pretty open to the idea of something like that.
And I think you're going out and doing it because like you said, when you get home, right, and you kick your shoes off and you're massaging your feet, you feel this like relaxation feeling that's going all the way up your...
Oh yeah.
That's what it is basically. You're actually doing that. You're practicing and you don't even know it. So, absolutely.
I didn't know that.
There it is. Yeah. So that's what you do. If you see like a specialist who does that, they'll like do things in your hands first. They'll massage that area, right? That like connects back, and then also they'll go to your feet, your legs. They just like do this whole motion that goes up to like alleviate all that stress and tension you have. Absolutely.
Nice.
So with that being said, when we talk about reflexology, we usually talk about sensitivity, right?
Okay.
How ticklish you need to be.
It depends where.
Okay. So on your feet, when you get pedicures, do you ever feel ticklish?
Yes.
Okay.
But I can like control it enough so I don't kick the
control it.
poor lady in the face.
I have a trick for you that will help you with that.
Okay.
Do you mind if we test it?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Let me get you extend your feet back out. All right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start from the right foot. I'm gonna work my way from bottom to top, and then we're gonna go to the left one. I want you to tell me which one is most sensitive, where it's most sensitive at. Okay. And then we're gonna do the trick. Okay. You ready?
Ready.
And this is actually a tool that was actually created just for this, right?
I'm already laughing.
You're gonna be fine. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Tell me where you feel it at the most.
Definitely right in the middle.
So right here in the arch area.
Yeah.
What about at the tops?
Not really.
Not so much at the top, not at the bottom, but right in here. That's where you feel it the most. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's try your left foot. Tell me if this one is worse. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. Do you feel this one more or less?
That one probably more.
More on this side. You right-handed or left-handed?
Right-handed. I had to think about that for a second.
Okay. It's the opposite for you. Some people.
Oh, you know what? When I played sports, I'm right-handed, but I always led with my left.
There it is. Okay, so that's why. There it is. Here's what I want you to do. Wiggle your toes. Wiggle your toes here. Tell me if you feel it more or less.
Way more.
Less? You felt more?
I felt it more that time, actually.
Did you really?
Actually.
Let me try it again. Hold on. Wiggle. You felt it more?
Okay, that time, no.
Less.
Not as much, yeah.
Right? Okay, let's try here. Because this was the foot that was the worst, right? Less or more?
Definitely less.
Less?
Time.
Do you know why?
Was it because I was focused on...
So, because your mind is mentally thinking about, okay, let me wiggle my toes, right? So, first of all, it's like a distraction in a way. But second of all, your muscles are moving, so it can't pick up on the sensation of that. So, that's a trick for you. You get your pedicures, get your toes a little wiggle, you will feel it way less.
Good to know.
Cool? All right. So, last thing, I'm going to get you to do a couple exercises. It's going to be test the dexterity and flexibility you have in your feet. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. So, firstly, let me get you to bend your toes, make a fist. Tell me if you feel pain or discomfort while you're doing that. Is that easy to do? Is it hard to do? Do you feel any pain anywhere?
No pain. I was a gymnast
Relax.
before. So
Relax. Okay. Next, let me get you to spread your toes. You tell me if you feel pain or discomfort while you're doing that. Okay.
No
Pretty easy, right? Nothing? Okay. Lastly, wiggle your toes for 10 seconds. Tell me if you feel pain, discomfort, any cramping happening, anything like that. Easy to do, hard to do? Easy?
So far, so good.
There it is. All right, cool. Let's wrap up the interview now. All right.
Are those good things?
Yeah, so it shows that you have, like, you're completely fluid. There's no, like, moment. Sometimes I get people when they do that, like, they bend their toes, it's like, oh, I feel pain right here. Or when they spread their toes, it's hard to do, so it's not a lot of dexterity there. Yeah. And then sometimes wiggling their toes, they'll start to feel cramping in there. So, yeah. So you're pretty good. You're pretty good.
Sweet.
So let's wrap up the interview now. In terms of my approach, right? When I came up to you, I said, hey, you're interested in doing an interview. Was it good? Was it bad? What were your thoughts about my approach?
Well, must have been good because I'm sitting here.
You did something right.
You did something right. No, I thought you were very, very comfortable, very authentic, which I think it's very easy to tell when someone's authentic, and you can tell you have a passion for what you do.
I do.
And that's pretty much why I was willing to.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So in terms of the interview, right, start to finish, did you see everything was going in a line? Did it make sense? Did you learn anything new from the information I was providing you today?
I definitely learned some new things. I'm going to wiggle my toes next time I'm feeling ticklish.
Maybe go into a podiatrist.
Maybe go into a podiatrist.
Yeah, there we go.
The reflexology. And I'm sorry, what was the first question?
Oh, so did you see everything was going in the line?
Yeah. Okay. So at first, no.
Yes.
But then
it's meant to be that way.
Especially when you kind of explain the story at the end of just where you're coming from, of trying to bring up topics like this, it makes sense.
Yeah. And so I always tell people, right, when I think about the LGBTQ plus community, right? We're in Pride Month right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people years ago who paved the way, Harvey Milk and people like that who were ostracized for liking somebody of the same sex, right? People had to put in work to make something normalized where people don't look at it and say oh, that's weird, that's odd. It's become more normalized, and that's what I'm trying to do with my channel. Yeah. Just make it more of a conversation where it's hey man, well, okay, what's wrong with that? Somebody likes that, cool, whatever, man, it's all good. So that's what my channel's all about.
That's really cool.
Absolutely. So the last thing I always ask, from a mental health standpoint, a life lesson that maybe you learned, wise words that maybe somebody came across to you and they gave it to you and you're like, hey, that really felt good. Something that you can share on my channel that could be helpful to them.
Oh gosh.
Anything. And don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, please.
Oh,
sometimes people overthink this when we get to this portion.
I just feel like there's so many, but I think the first thing, there's multiple things that come to mind. I'm going to share two.
Yeah, go ahead.
From a mental health standpoint.
Okay.
I think it's important to celebrate your wins. And again, it can be whatever you define as a win. Personally, I define waking up, making my bed, that can be your win of the day. And I think it's really, really important to just make sure you not only voice it to yourself, but, are able to just accept the fact that, anything that happens throughout your day, whether or not it's what you would consider normally a big deal, is really important. The second thing is follow through with your commitments to yourself first before anyone else. And the reason I say that is because I think a huge reason why I've developed a lot of confidence in my skill and my character and just where I'm at in life right now is because of the fact that I can truly know if I'm going to say something and if I'm going to commit to something, I'm going to follow through with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the first step to ultimately developing a sense of confidence in yourself first, which is so important when it comes to, again, just everything else in your life.
Absolutely.
So hopefully those are two things that resonate with me that I just like to think about on a daily basis.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate you stopping, do this interview with us. All right. And we hope that you have a great one, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right.